Let's broaden our minds.
The truth shall set you free.
You can't handle the truth.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Hasta la vista, baby.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Hello and welcome to the Creative Control Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Kenan, and thank you for joining us. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about Black Adam, the new DC movie starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and what it means in terms of the film, how we actually enjoyed the film, you know, highs and lows, maybe there's some Easter eggs and stuff like that, but also maybe what it means for the future of the DCEU. So this is going to be a full spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, then you might want to come back and check out this episode a little bit later. But saying that, The Rock himself has pretty much put all the spoilers out there anyway, before we even saw the film. So, yeah, you shouldn't be coming to this not knowing what's going on. But, yeah, joining me on today's podcast, we have our regular Neil. And for the longest time who hasn't been on the show, back once again, we have Amrita. How you doing?
I'm
Doing good.
Glad to be back. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. It's good to have you back. It is good. Okay, so let's get stuck in. So, Black Adam. The Rock says it was 15 years in the making for him to do this movie. I don't know what he's been doing all that time, but for me, it doesn't quite show it on the screen. But look, we'll come into that. First of all, I just want to get what were your first thoughts coming out of the cinema? Just your initial feelings about it, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail. Neil, we'll start with you.
Well, my initial thoughts leaving was, I was like, okay, it was a enjoyable film, but it was just an enjoyable film. There wasn't anything about it that made me think, oh, I can't wait to see Black Adam 2, or I can't wait to see, you know, this film that might have Black Adam in it. I was just like, oh, yeah, it's all right, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. Rita, what about yourself?
Yeah, I have to echo pretty much that same sentiment. I thought it was fun. It was enjoyable. There was nothing too deep in this film at all. I mean, I don't think you'd put The Rock and deep together necessarily anyway.
Nope.
But there was nothing really kind of outstanding in it. It was fun, though. I did enjoy it. I would be lying if I said I didn't. And I'm not a massive DCEU fan at all, as you guys well know. But it was all right, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I went into it with quite low expectations in a sense of I didn't think the trailers did the movie very much. I think the second trailer was better. I remember watching the first trailer thinking, not sure about this at all. But yeah, I guess I was kind of pleasantly surprised in a sense of, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's not a great movie. It's a solid movie for a action blockbuster. You know, we're not, you know, you can't compare every comic book movie to a Dark Knight or an Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame and stuff like that. You know, they're just different levels. And, you know, this just sits nice and comfortably in the middle. You know, it's not poor, but doesn't do anything sort of like too out of the box. So yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I came out thinking, yeah, I enjoyed my time. It was like 2 hours or whatever it was. I thought, yeah, you know, I don't begrudge my time back. You know, I didn't come out feeling like I did like Venom, Let There Be Carnage or something like that. Or I'm cursing the fact that even I had free parking. I feel I need something else back. Like, what is going on? But yeah, it was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And maybe part of that is because, you know, I'm a fan of Dwayne Johnson, you know, as a personality, not necessarily an actor. He's a decent actor. He's made some average movies, but you know, he was really big for me growing up as The Rock in WWE. I grew up on him and Stone Cold. That was my era, and you know, him transitioning to films. He had some really good first, you know, like The Rundown or Welcome to the Jungle, you know, and some like low key stuff to start off with. I really enjoyed them, and you know, he's the man's built a business. You know, he's built a brand, and credit to him. So let's talk about his performance in particular. So him as Black Adam, there are rumors to start with that he was going to be Shazam, and he was like, no, that's not the role for me. This is what I want to do. He also has declared recently that the first original script for Shazam had Black Adam in it. So he was going to bring both characters to the screen because there is a big connection between them. But he said he felt that they needed to be two separate movies. Now, I don't know how well that worked from a story point of view. Was it his ego and he wanted his own movie, or he had other projects on he wanted to delay and do his own thing? I don't know. But I thought he was fine. He was because of the type of character that he was delivering, somebody who's kind of supposed to be a little bit fish out of water, doesn't really know with the world that's going on. He's finding his feet, understanding sarcasm and stuff like that. So it kind of hits some familiar beats with that fish out of water story. But yeah, I thought he delivered it fine. And look, he was an impressive specimen, right? There's no padding in that suit. So the suit was actually the same suit from Shazam, but he basically got him to strip all the padding and everything out. And that was a skin tight suit, and he filled that suit. So, Amrita, what do you think of the Dwayne Johnson's performance in this?
I was going to say,
not the suit,
that suit,
just the performance.
Yeah, not the suit, just the performance.
No, seriously speaking, I'm like you, Ken. I really do like Dwayne Johnson quite a lot as a personality as well. I do like him as an actor. He's obviously not, creme de la creme, but he's enjoyable. And I think he brings a level of fun to every role that he does. And I'm not someone that went into this film knowing a huge lot about Black Adam to begin with. I knew that Shazam and Black Adam were linked quite well, but I didn't know much else about it. And I actually really, really liked him playing the role because I felt he brought that The Rock intensity where he didn't come across like a hero at all. He came across as an anti-hero, but the anti was quite highlighted at times. And I very much enjoyed that. I thought, particularly towards the end of the film, where he starts to kind of embrace who he is and the fact that he is flawed and is not the person that, everyone's claiming him out to be. I was looking forward to seeing that darkness come through a bit more. So I do somewhat think if they make another Black Adam related film, I will want to see that. I think it is something that drew me in that sense. And that's all down to his performance. I don't know if anyone else would have done it with the same level of light and dark that he brought to it, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, he did a great job for me.
Cool. Neil, what about you?
I think it's one of the first films I've seen in a very long time, probably excluding the Jumanji films, where Dwayne Johnson wasn't playing Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
right.
I'd agree with that.
And it was good. I mean, he was the only person who could play the role. Thinking about what you said earlier about, when they said, we're going to, the first script for Shazam had Black Adam in it. I reckon, for me personally, that even though I enjoyed the film, and I don't think anything was wrong with it, and his performance, he was the best thing in it.
Yeah.
And he was the best person to play the role of Black Adam. I feel like the key beats of the movie could have literally been spread across a Shazam sequel.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't think like the Shazam sequel has, two other characters in it who are the villains. I firmly believe, no, Black Adam should have been that villain. And because all the parts of, this is a spoiler review, so if you're still watching or listening and you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. But all of the parts where we were shown the past, we were shown Kandak when it was ancient times. All of that could have been spread throughout a movie, and all of the Black Adam in present day it could have been condensed because, I mean, we had a whole moment where, all right, he fights the Justice Society. That's done.
Mm-hmm.
Then he fights the bad guys. That's done.
Mm-hmm.
Then he agrees to be locked away.
Mm-hmm.
And then bait and switch, the bad guys aren't dead.
Mm-hmm.
It comes back, oh, now we have another fight. I'm like, was that really necessary? I mean, it was necessary to show Black Adam having the mano-a-mano fight with someone else who was definitively strong.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, you go and watch a movie with The Rock, you want to see him beat someone up.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, wouldn't it have been more of a thing to see him fight Shazam, someone who's equal to his level?
Mm-hmm.
I have a bit of an opinion on this, though, because I think I really, considering I'm not a fan of the DCEU overall, frankly, I think most of the films are trash, in my opinion. Sorry to anyone who is a fan. And it's a shame, because I love DC in the graphic novel world, but not in the cinematic realm. And I think Shazam is a rare one. I really did enjoy, but the tone of that film, especially with Zachary Levi playing Shazam, was so much lightheartedness and jokiness and one-liners sprinkled in and here and there. I feel like it's a completely different tone to what Black Adam was. Yes, there's a lot of fun in Black Adam, but a lot of that fun for me came from, I forget his name, but the boy's character.
Oh, yeah.
More than it actually did from Black Adam himself, or from Teth Adam. And I feel like it would have been a mismatch in terms of tonal quality between the two. I think that's something that could happen later, and I would hope it does. I really do. But I don't know that would have worked in the same way for me, or if I would have enjoyed it in the same way in this one film. I think I'm glad that he got his own film.
Yeah, that's probably a good point, actually. Because
I mean, there would have been a lot of exposition for two characters, and I get that. We could have definitely seen sort of like, even, potentially with a post-credit scene with Shazam, going back to the fact that the Wizard's mentioning another, the fact that there was this person banished who had the powers or whatever it is. But yeah, what you could have done is you could have taken the Black Adam movie, and instead of putting the JSA in there, it could have been Shazam fighting him and his family. So then you would have had the contrast of the comedy and the darkness, because Shazam really can't believe how he would act, because a lot of them have got the mentality of the kids and stuff like that. It's like kids versus adults kind of thing. So, that could have played out exactly the same way. You're right. This movie had a lot of action in it. So it's basically exposition and action. So, you had all the build up to kind of establish that, this was part of the world. They've always been here. He's always been around. He's just been, banished. And then you're right. He comes out and he fights all the military guys to show how powerful he is. Then he has to fight the JSA and they lose. Then he fights, he fights the bad guys again. Actually, no, because he fights the bad guys again before the JSA turn up. They turn up in the middle. So he's fighting the bad guys again to protect the kid. Then he loses against the JSA, and then he's doing the interrogation stuff. It was just, let's get to the next action piece, for a lot of it. And it's just like, we get it. We know you're powerful. But for me, that was a little bit more than what was needed in terms of The Rock, and I understand that was probably, him wanting to establish how powerful the character was and stuff like that. I get that. But yeah, it was more, I think maybe by the timing of the release, you should view it as a summer blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
If you view it as a summer blockbuster, you probably wouldn't feel the same as seeing in October. This was just a big, loud movie that was just supposed to kind of entertain. And that was it. But so let's talk about the JSA, because, they are kind of just thrown in there. Each character's given a little bit of an introduction to say who they are. So we had Aldous Hodge as Hawkman. We had Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. We had Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher. Centineo, thank you. And then we had Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone. So, I liked the characters and their design, but I couldn't care less about them in this movie because I didn't know enough about them.
I have to echo that. I did not care.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I really like each of them as actors individually. I watch a lot of teen stuff on Netflix, so I know about Centineo. I know about the female character as well from things like Trinkets.
Yeah, Cyclone. Yeah.
And I like them all. I like Pierce Brosnan as well, but I honestly couldn't care less in this film that they were in there. And I didn't, as someone, again, who hasn't religiously followed the DCEU, because I couldn't care less about it, I couldn't quite understand why they were in this or where they fit into it or why they randomly just appeared. And I think the female character in the film, again, I've forgotten her name, but the one who...
Cyclone.
No, the one who awakens him.
Oh, the mum. Adriana Tomaz.
Yes, that lovely lady. She says it at one point herself that, where have you been this whole time? Conducts needed help since the dawn of time, and you just let us basically roll around in the shit for a while. And I couldn't agree more. I was like, why have they just arrived now? And how did... It was a little bit arbitrary to me that, like, Amanda Waller and co. picked up on the fact that Black Adam was suddenly around. Like, how did any of this come to be what it was? It felt a little bit rushed. I didn't look too much into it because I enjoyed the action and I enjoyed The Rock being The Rock and I enjoyed, all of the action overall. But, yeah, if we're nitpicking, I don't understand their fit into it at all.
Their performances individually were fine, So, like, Aldis was good as Hawkman, and Pierce Brosnan just oozed class. I really enjoyed his performance. But, they tried to create this relationship and make us care about the relationship between the two of them, and it just didn't hit home for me. So when, spoilers, Dr. Fate, goes at the end, there wasn't enough for me to be like, oh, I really understand Hawkman's pain. There just wasn't enough there for me. And, like you say, so basically in the movie, Hawkman is speaking to Amanda Waller, again, who reprises her role. It's just like, okay, he's here. He has these people who he calls on. And he seems, to be this leader. And like you said, they've been around for ages. Now, in terms of the timeline, we don't know exactly where in the DCU this event happens. Is it 10 years after Zack Snyder's Justice League? Is it before Justice League and Batman versus Superman? It's just like, actually, where does this sit? So it's kind of strange. Neil, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts, honestly, on it are the JSA were literally, I reckon there's two reasons for me the JSA were in this film. The JSA were in this film, one, so that Black Adam had people to beat up that you wouldn't... I'm not going to say you wouldn't care about, but...
You wouldn't cheer for.
You wouldn't cheer for... You wouldn't cheer if they landed a heavy blow on Black Adam. And you wouldn't feel extraordinarily bad if he clapped one of them silly, it's like you're not going to care. It's true. And also, it was because that moment where I forget the character's name, just Adriana Tomaz, when she says,
that's the character's name, Adriana.
Oh, okay, cool. When Adriana says, oh, where were you when these people invaded Conduct? Where were you when these people, started doing this and, mining our resources and enslaving us and doing all of this? Where were you then? The Justice Society were there so that you couldn't have them saying that to Superman, and you couldn't have them saying that to the Flash or to Aquaman. You couldn't have them saying that to people that you care about.
Yes.
That was cool.
That's a good shout.
But I will admit, there is actually quite a bit of history between Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and Black Adam. There is comic book history between them, so it would be better. From a super comic nerd's mind, it's easier to digest those characters facing Black Adam than the Justice League as we know them going against Black Adam. And you brought up a good thing where you said about where in the DCEU is this. I can't imagine it being anywhere but after, Justice League, whether it's Snyder's Justice League or Whedon's Justice League, simply because the suit that spoilers, Superman's in it, right? That Superman wears when he arrives at the end is glossier than any suit he's worn.
Yeah.
True.
And at the end of Snyder's Justice League, when he pops open the shirt, he's still got on the black uniform.
That's right, yeah.
So it's to indicate, he's probably in a new uniform, probably. And another thing that makes me kind of, it's definitely after, is Homegirl from Peacemaker's in it.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. She's there when they drop him off in the underwater station.
Oh, yeah.
Amelia. So Jennifer Holland. So her character Amelia, she's there. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think that, my initial instincts was that, it's set afterwards because of the fact that, so like you said, Superman shows up at the end of the post-credit scene. He is wearing the red and blue. It is the John Williams Superman theme, albeit a slight variation to it, but that is what he steps out to. Now, why she didn't feel the need to send him in the first place and have the JSA, get demolished, I have no idea. But hey, maybe he was off world doing something else. So So it's like you say, it's either sometime after Justice League, whether it's Snyder Cut or Whedon, or is it an alternate timeline?
That's a good point. I mean,
is this another universe? Is this the Christopher Reeve Superman? Is it a continuation from that storyline? Is it after Superman Returns? We don't quite know yet.
Yeah.
But it is a way of rebooting the thing if they've wanted to have this as an alternate universe, and actually that Superman be not the same one from Justice League. And like you say, maybe Aquaman and everything else has its own things going on, but this is enough as a tease right now to set up a new timeline, which we discussed in like How to Fix the DCEU a couple of weeks ago. So that might be something there as well, because maybe they're doing reshoots for The Flash. Will they do something there again where it resets the timeline, and now suddenly Cavill's back as Superman, Ben Affleck maybe comes back as Batman, and they pick up there, but it's an alternative timeline, or, things have just changed because of travel back forth in time and stuff like that. Just want to put a quick pause there to welcome Sacha to the podcast. How you doing, Sacha?
Yeah, next question.
Oh, right. Okay. Moving on. Obviously, Sacha, we're talking about Black Adam. So why don't you give us your thoughts on the film?
It was entertaining. It was very entertaining. Could it have been better? Yeah, could have been a lot better. But, I enjoyed it for what it was. The Rock was fine as the character. I thought the standout for me was Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate, Hawkman, and I quite like the new Atom they had. And I just wish we had more of Henry Winkler.
Yeah, it was apparently the original. Yeah, exactly. That was strange when he popped up on the phone, I have to say.
For 2 seconds, bro. If you're telling me he was the OG, you need to go back to that. We need more of him.
We want some flashbacks. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, Atom Smasher was pretty good. Decent comic relief. I think I wasn't too keen on the fact that, I know it's hard to do, but his mask and costume looked very similar to Deadpool, and he was the comic relief. And when he was delivering the lines, it seemed a little bit like he was trying to be Deadpool a little bit. I don't know. It just seemed a little bit odd to me. But that's just that was my initial thoughts when I saw him, and he's trying to do the comic relief through that mask. But did anybody else get that vibe, or was that just me?
No, do you know who I got? I got Ant-Man out of that.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I felt more like the humor of Ant-Man.
A little bit more clumsy, and stuff like that, and surprising. Yeah.
When he realized he had to be careful where he puts himself, and he was stopping the cars, and he was like, "You wait, all of that," and I was like,
"It's a good shout."
I was looking at it, and I was like, "You ain't Scott Lang."
I think that what this movie also suffers from is, again, not a great villain. In terms of the guy trying to find the crowd kind of thing, he was fine. But I think as soon as we got the completely CGI demigod devil character, it takes it out of me, and that's when then it's just too much CGI, because I thought the movie. Yeah, exactly. It was just too much. I would have rather seen a little bit more practical effects there.
It was basically Tenacious D's,
right?
Whatever that song is that I love, and I can't remember.
Yeah, it's the greatest song in the world. Tribute. Yeah, but it just felt really off that, and it was just a case of. I understand you want to have the big brash ending and stuff like that, and I get that, and this whole recall of him rediscovering himself and like that. Just the character design for me could have been better, and because I thought the CG throughout the film was fairly decent. There's a couple of ropey bits where he's flying around with Hawkman and they're battling, and it's quite obvious. But what I did like actually was the fact that Black Adam was flying throughout most of the movie. So he wasn't walking around a lot. He was actually hovering and gliding and moving through. I did like that aspect of the character, because it just shows he's engaged with his powers all the time and stuff like that. Was anyone surprised with the switch of The Rock being the dad and not the original one, and his son dying and stuff like that?
No, because the damn trailers put that out there, right? The trailers were like, okay, we didn't know that the son was actually the one given the powers. But the simple fact that in the trailers it was like, my son died. I was like, right? That would have been a moment that you don't bring it. I know you need to sell a movie, and I am totally aware. I've studied film. I've studied film advertising. I know when you make a trailer, you put in everything because people who know nothing want to know what they're going into. But there is a line you can draw. Just say, hey, he was around before, he went away, he's back, problems.
Yeah.
But the whole thing of, my son died, I have a tragic origin. Look, bro, you got superpowers. If you didn't have a tragic opening, there's a problem already.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm like, okay, you got a tragic opening. I don't need to know the full details. And I knew the full details, but I didn't need to know. And then that took it out, because seeing, the way that it was like, you're a hero. When they continue to be like, you're a hero. I'm not a hero. I never said I was a hero. All of that. And I was just like, I bet it was the son.
Yeah.
Because
no, exactly.
Yeah, I think another thing that made that problematic was at the very beginning, the son. You don't see his face, but listen, The Rock has a jawline that you could look. They had
and the voice.
They had a statue of The Rock in the movie, right? You couldn't replicate that jawline in the statue.
Exactly.
There's no CGI that's gonna let me not know that's him. Right?
Yeah, no, I knew it was him straight away. Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, "Oh, son, there's a better way." All of that. And in my head, I was just like, "Okay, let's see." So when the sun just disappeared, I was like, "Huh? Oh, so the sun gave you the powers then, yeah? All right, let's see how you get to that."
Yeah, that's it. What I did like was when the son got the powers and you saw that final flashback, he had the hair pattern of the Black Adam for the comics, with the black hair and stuff like that. I thought, okay, that's quite a nice nod to that, because as we know, Dwayne wasn't going to rock any hair for this movie. I mean, who else can we talk about? Samir, the guy that played Samir, I thought he was quite good. Yeah, the kid, I thought he was quite good. I think the only bit he struggled with, where I didn't quite feel it, maybe that's just the direction or maybe that's the editing, is where he was trying to get the crowd on board to be, we are one people and all that kind of stuff. That felt really forced. And it just didn't feel quite natural. But his comic timing and everything else was really good, and everything else was, really quite spot on. But yeah, that just didn't play out.
In general, like I did really like Samir, but I think I have an issue whenever there's whenever there's like a film that's portraying people that have accents and they're speaking in English and they're speaking in a way that's colloquial and relatable to our type of like understanding of English. So throwing in slang and this and that, it always sounds forced to me, because I just think you would not be speaking this way if you were speaking in whatever language you were actually speaking in. So for me, I think I agree with that when he was trying to get the crowd, it especially sounded forced. But I think there was an element of that throughout. Do I think that detracted from his performance? Not at all, because he was, other than The Rock, he was probably my next favourite thing in the film. And I really just enjoyed...
The uncle was quite funny. I did enjoy the uncle.
The uncle was good, but I think I think a lot of that like riffed from Samir, if that makes sense. Samir just, I don't know, he brought like an element of fun for me. And I think, especially again, as someone, I keep harping on about it, but as someone who really doesn't like the DCEU, to have someone like kind of introduce you into the film who feels like a layperson, but also is like really excited and nerdy about it, and bringing that level of excitement throughout the film, it's a nice way to keep you on board throughout as well. And I felt that. So I owe that to me, really.
Yeah. I feel like the problem I have with him rallying everyone at the end was there was nothing we saw that gave you an indication that he had any connection to anyone other than his mother and his uncle. So, like, if it was like, I would have liked is the first time we see him and he's all skateboarding, I would have liked that moment. We have him like go past someone and they'd be like, Samir!
Yeah, high-fiving, acknowledging, interacting with everybody he comes past, kind of thing.
Exactly. Like, if you've known, like, I apologize for the insensitivity of the reference I'm about to make, but think of Disney's Aladdin, the animated movie, right? When Aladdin is running through the town and he's being chased by the guards, I think after he jacked the bread, everybody knows who he is. Whether they call him Al, Street Rat, whatever, everybody knew him. He's a known face.
Whether they like him or don't like him, everybody knows.
Whether they don't like him, they know who he is. So then, it's like, okay, I am aware of how known you are amongst your people. With Samir, he had 2 moments where we see him roaming around the town. One, where we first see him skateboarding at night and he's the distraction. And secondly, when he runs away and they like, he's got the crown. When he jacks the guy's phone and then dumps it into when he's cooking. That, and I'm like, at no point did anyone acknowledge him. If they acknowledged him, I could believe, oh, okay, if you turn up and you're telling people, come on, you can do it, then it's like, all right, I know all of these people know you, and I know that you are like heavily influenced by superheroes, and you want, I want the superpowered person, I want heroes. So to see none of that, and then to suddenly at the end, he's like, hey guys, look, I'm throwing up the Rockefeller sign. Come, let's go fight these. Let's go fight these undead
zombies.
I'm like, nah. I'm like, I'm not with that. As much as I enjoyed the film, I was like, nah, that's you gotta rewrite that.
Yeah, and even
as well is that the ones that do recognize him is the military guard person who's kicking his mum.
The bad guys.
So I'm like, and he says we go through this every single day. So I'm like, clearly you are being recognized, but by not the townspeople, but by the military people, which then how do they not know that these are people are related to you if you do this every single day?
Yeah. And there was opportunities, you know, when the guards were taking him down, or, you know, even at the checkpoint where he's trying to distract him, or later when they were chasing him through town when he was like running after Black Adam after he like popped through the wall. Nobody was trying to protect him. So even if they didn't want to stand up to the guards for the oppression, you would have felt there would have been some protectivity over him as one of the people or one of their people or something like that. So if you had that relationship where they're like, okay, I don't want to get involved with the military, but, you know, they'll be like, leave the kid alone, you know, stop picking on the kid, or, you know, anything kind of that. Or like when he's escaping, they might try and push the carts in the way, or, you know, throw something in the way of the guys going past, just try to protect the kid a little bit. Then that connection later would have meant and felt a lot more. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. I am really glad, though, Neil, that you brought up the Rockefeller thing, though, because
I was saying,
I did not understand that. I was like, I'm sure somewhere Jay-Z is rolling in it right now.
Because you know what? The first time I saw it, well, I mean, look, I'm old enough to remember when it was Diamond Dallas Page, when it was Diamond. But I'm like, the first time I saw it get thrown up, because the kid had the actual jewel in his hand,
it made sense.
I kind of was like, okay. But the fact is never referenced again in the film until the end of the film, when Samir does it. I was just like, bruv, you waiting for Jay-Z and Beanie Siegel to show up.
Exactly.
Like, you know?
I mean, they're all looking at him like, and it's like, where did they get this from? How does everybody know that's the thing? So, you know, did you all read it in a book somewhere? Because apparently this is just like, you know, ancient history. No one really knows about it, stuff like that. But apparently it's common knowledge and everyone knows, you know, what that means. But yeah, no, absolutely.
Do you know what? The other side of it, though, being ancient history, that for me felt really odd throughout the film, because I was like, firstly, the place is still called Kandak, even though Kandak fell and didn't exist anymore. It's still called the same name. Then you still have like the giant statue and everything. It still very much looks like the same area of land, which is weird to me, because I feel like, you know, centuries later, it would have looked like a completely different landscape. And I know that, like, at one point, Teth Adam says, "This isn't my home. This isn't what I recognize." But I feel like for viewers, it didn't feel too dissimilar.
Yeah.
Other than you know, now there are cars.
Yeah.
Other than that, it felt pretty much the same, palette-wise, everything. It was a weird thing for me.
The other thing that frustrated me was every time Cyclone used her powers, it was all slow motion. And it was just like, so they kept, and it's just like, you don't need that. Yes, okay, I know she can whiz things through the air, but having more real time in time with everything else, don't slow everything down all the time. There's a lot of unnecessary of that. Sacha, any more thoughts that you have on the film?
Stuff I hate, dumb action movie logic. Suffered from bad action movie logic. For example, you have these two human characters, the uncle and the mother. Okay, their primarily example is to get the kid and get the fuck out of Dodge. Okay, why they're fighting zombies and stuff, I don't know. I mean, like, they could have created like a side story to why that would be relevant and why the people would join together and overthrow stuff. That could have been something they could have built up from the start of the movie with the townspeople and how they feel about Black Adam, or, you know, all of this stuff. But they didn't establish any of that. All of a sudden, all these people are willing to fight zombies. Makes no sense. If I saw a zombie running, I'm out of Dodge.
Yeah, they wouldn't they wouldn't stand up to the military, but zombies, they're fair game.
It's like, it makes no freaking sense. So I fail on that kind of thing. And I did feel that, like, even though Pierce Brosnan kind of life was self-sacrificial and stuff, that still made no sense, because you're telling me this Justice Society that worked together for years and years and years could not think of an actual plan? You know what I mean?
Bad plan's better than no plan, really.
Yeah. They've already got Black Adam on their side, ish. But, you know, for dramatic effect, they got to lock him, you know, in the water with Amanda Waller and stuff, and then I don't know, man. It was nonsensical, but it was a very entertaining nonsensical, because if The Rock didn't have the charisma that he has, and if it wasn't The Rock in this movie would have been a flat out fail, straight to DVD bargain bin movie. It's not triple A, but it's not dog shit, because it has likable elements in it. That's why I gave it a 3. But you know what? I gave it a 3 out of 5. Yeah, you got to understand that 3. That extra star was down to the end credits.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, and what you say there is a really good point, because it's like the JSA, they come in as like they got to take this guy out, and it's like, have a chat with him first, yeah. Well, don't keep saying you have to surrender to us, you have to be our prisoner. It's like, how about you'd like to join our team? You good, you bad? What are you saying? What's your story? It's just like, it's like, no, we have to take you down. It's like, but why? Because he's more powerful than you, or for what reason?
So it's very like US military, like, we don't know anything about you, but we just don't like you. So
Yeah.
It's
because you're black, man. It's because you're black. We have to take you down.
I'm going to point you out, right? A couple of things that messed me up, right? One, you arrive, and the first thing you're like is, if you don't surrender, we're going to fight you, right? I'm like, listen, I don't care how much superpowers you got. That is a 6'5", 275-pound gentleman looking at you like, say something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, sir, would you care to take a seat? Perhaps have a cup of tea, chamomile, maybe some ginger mint tea, whatever. Listen, nothing with caffeine in it. Let's just have a conversation. Find out what can I do to help you. Right?
Yeah, let me catch you up on the last 2,000 years. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'll offer you a bagel and a cupcake and a protein shake, and then we'll have a conversation. Not, I'm going to clap you in your face with this hammer. Everyone who tried to hit you is dead. But me with this big gold spinning hammer is going to do the job? No. And secondly, for those who don't know, Hawkman, when he dies, he resurrects. Why the fuck do you care if he dies knowing he's going to resurrect, right? If that was me, knowing that Hawkman resurrects, I'm going to be like, bro, it's your time. In there.
It's always your time.
Yeah, Dr. Fate should have been like, you first, bro. Why is he locking him out? You first.
I'm going in there to smack him. I'd have been like, cool, bruv, listen, if you need me, I'm in the ship. Text me.
Okay, but here's what I don't understand. So, like, Dr. Fate said that he dies, right?
Yeah.
But his vision of him getting stabbed is exactly what happened. So, at what point was it different from his vision to this in terms of how he got stabbed?
I'll be honest, Kenan, that's what I didn't figure out either.
No, I thought about that a while. I think if Dr. Fate hadn't done what he did, it would have just been the real Hawkman who got stabbed like that, as opposed to Hawkman.
The Dr. Fate version of Hawkman. Okay.
Triple and quadruple versions of himself, and one of them fake ones gets stabbed.
Oh, it is a fake one that got stabbed, wasn't it?
It is a fake one, yeah. It is a fake
yes,
one.
You're right. Okay. Yeah, no, fair enough. But how did Dr. Fate know that wasn't, he could just lend him his helmet. I mean, why did he... Well, why did he?
The helmet chooses the person. So if if Fate is still alive, then he's like, nah, bruv, my owner's over there. What are you doing?
Okay, well, he could have just created a fake Hawkman to get stabbed. I mean,
he could have.
He could have just projected 20 Hawkmen.
How does he not know that his vision was the fake one to begin with?
Or maybe he did. Maybe that's the one. So he had to die. So he always knew that he was going to die, and that was the one. So yeah,
maybe.
One other. Say that again.
Thought those vodka martinis. That's what it was.
Right. You know what? Right. One thing I have to point out, and I would be remiss if I didn't point it out. I've seen many different iterations of Hawkman, and I've never had an issue with any of them. But the way this Hawkman was dressed I was getting a couple of Wakandan vibes, and I didn't appreciate it. Right? I'm sorry, I didn't appreciate it at all because obviously, you know, you like film companies, they put films on release dates at certain times, but I'm like, I don't need to see you in this, you know, African print style jacket a couple of weeks before I see Black Panther 2. Like, don't audition for the role. You know, they say dress for the job you want, not the job you have. You ain't got to audition for Black Panther. The role is filled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really feeling that. And unfortunately, this, I guess, is just a side effect of having so many superhero films that have come out from, you know, 2000 to now. Bro, your house looks like the X Mansion, and the jet looks like the Blackbird, and it came out the ground like the Blackbird. I was just like, why you like, you copied all of Marvel's homework.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It looked like it. It looked like the Disney animation, you know, where they lift like the Jungle Book and then, you know, they copied it over to something else. It looked like that. It looked like they lifted it and then just replaced it. You know, it was.
It's because I feel like DC cannot do anything original anymore. They just can't. I'm really. I feel like I'd eat my hat if I had one for when they ever make a film that strikes me as truly original, because you have this incredible, maybe not so much these days, but an incredible back catalogue of cinematic world history on the MCU side of things that you would be quite thick to not want to copy. I get it. It's obviously a blueprint that's worked time and time again. However, they've got their own stories, their own characters, their own everything, and they still, in my mind, cannot string together a coherent worldscaping of events in an original way ever.
Yeah.
And
well, maybe because they've been working on this 15 years, it felt original when they started. By the time it came out, it's like, oh shit, everyone's already done this shit. So
yeah.
What's the upsetting thing about it when he says, I've been working on this for 15 years, and you just kind of go, this is the best you got?
Yeah.
It's the best you got?
Yeah, exactly. Just don't play that up, you know. Do you think he revealed the fact that, I mean, I know we didn't say the character's name, but do you think he revealed that Superman appearing at the end was to get bums on seats to make this a big opening? Because to me, there was absolutely no reason. I would have lost my shit going in there and seeing that and not knowing it. But I watched the movie to see that at the end. Do you know what I mean? I was just waiting for it.
100% did that. That's a marketing strategy. I'm sorry. And it's a marketing strategy because, one, again, because one, that wasn't the end credits. That was the mid credits, right? So, right? Yeah, I know there was no end credit scene, but that was the middle. That was after the whole lights and glitz and glamour credits. Before we get just the plain white text on the black screen. That point, most people still sit through that point, right? Obviously, die-hard comic book movie fans who are really invested in whatever's coming next sit and wait through all the credits in case. Even me,
like you, Neil, because you stay.
I saw the Superman bit, and then I was just like, I just sat there, and I was like, just in case,
yeah,
you know, just in case, right? But honestly, it is just a thing of people would have sat there and waited, and even if people didn't sit there, got up and left,
they would have gone back to watch it again.
Oh yeah, that would have been all over Twitter. That would have been all over Facebook, all over Instagram. But the thing was as well, when The Rock went to the premiere, he sound recorded, he audio recorded the fan reaction to that bit and that bit alone, and it just said, watching the end credits at the premiere. And then when he played it, and you could just hear the whole room erupt, I was just like, yeah, bro, I know who that is.
Yeah. No, exactly. No, I think that was really disappointing for them for him to release that. And yeah, I mean, I think he was just going for that big box office weekend, trying to get it out there. But one other thing I wanted to touch on was the Intergang. So they were referred to as Intergang, and obviously they had these weapons and vehicles which obviously had additional technology. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but from the comic books, that comes from Apocalypse, like via Darkseid, right? They're a gang which receives stuff from him, which they have then developed. So that does tie in there slightly, obviously, in terms of Zack Snyder's Justice League with the whole Darkseid thing. But I was surprised that maybe Apocalypse or something wasn't mentioned. Why did they use Intergang, and why did they put all that technology in the vehicles but not explain it?
I think that is basically, it was to cover their own back.
Mm-hmm.
Because by saying, okay, here we have Eternium, and Eternium, which is nothing like vibranium.
Mm-hmm.
We have Eternium, which is a mineral that can be used to create these weapons. By not giving it any connection to Darkseid or anything, you're not giving it any connection to the wider scope of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that if the film is a flop,
mm-hmm.
I mean, it would never be a flop because Dwayne Johnson is the freaking star of the movie. It's not a flop. But just in case the movie was a flop,
mm-hmm.
you can discount it and discredit it. And you can, it's the ugly stepchild of the DCEU. It's
mm-hmm.
in a corner. It's not connected to anything other than this little Superman cameo.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
so here's I totally get that, and because you'd imagine why doesn't Amanda Waller know about this stuff, and why isn't she using it for her teams and stuff like that? Exactly. But saying that, so Amanda Waller set up the Suicide Squad. It was pretty much to take down Superman. Now Superman is at her beck and call because she calls him down to have a chat with Shazam. Why is Superman working with, for, or responding to Amanda Waller here? What's going on?
Batman. Because they make the point in the Suicide Squad movie of having Batman meet Waller, so you can see that there's some level of relationship there.
Mm-hmm.
And if Superman is part of the Justice League,
mm-hmm.
then that means that there is a, third party basically connection between Amanda Waller and Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So she can say, look, Justice League, look, call up Batman. Yeah, Bat, listen, I need you could call him up and be like, Batman, oh yeah, listen, there's Superman around anyway. Oh yeah, he is. Oh yeah, keep him on the phone for a second, please. It could be very much a thing of Amanda Waller is, because the thing is, Amanda Waller isn't a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
She just takes no shit.
Yeah, because
so
that fits to me in a sense of a little bit sort of like the Dark Knight Returns in terms of the comic book. Superman's kind of working for the president. He's working for the government. So that kind of sits in there. So then it's like, but you've kind of already done Batman versus Superman, and it's like, so I don't know exactly where this fits in terms of, like we say, the timeline and all that kind of stuff. But to me, that kind of seemed odd that Superman wouldn't have, we could have had a position where Superman was chatting to this guy anyway, but obviously there's a connection there between him and Waller, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Sacha, what's your thoughts on Superman and the Waller thing? Does it make sense?
It's just another example of DCEU being all over the shop. I personally think, okay, with Zaslav, I've changed my view on certain things in terms of like the direction they should go. I know I joke about on our little chat thing about, hey, we should do this, etc. Sometimes it's me just being sarcastic or whatever. But I honestly think if it was me in charge of like Superman and the whole DC universe, if we are having Cavill back, okay, like Cavill back, and we're continuing this all, personally, I would have been like, right, straight out the gate, we're doing 2 Superman filmed back to back, literally, okay? I want 2 scripts. All right, we've done the world end of world thing. Let's scale it back. Let's introduce Lex Luthor. When I say Lex Luthor, I would be like, because we've done Zod, I'd do a human element. And I know a lot of people want a bit of punch to, bang to the, what I mean? Maybe incorporate something to do with Lex and maybe even a military bad guy. I don't know about whether there's any military bad guys that like Superman works with or that other than Lois's dad, that sees the Man of Steel as a threat kind of thing. And what I was thinking of with that, you can introduce Amanda Waller and actually, it could be Amanda Waller. You know what I mean? Because they don't know what Superman is. Obviously, you've got the general at the end of Man of Steel, but then he ends up being a Green Lantern. You know what I mean?
You've already had the death of Superman and everyone grieving for him.
No. This is set before all of that. This is set before BVS. This is what I would do. Because the reason I would set a Man of Steel trilogy before BVS, is literally to give this universe a foundation, a solid foundation, and 3 kick-ass Man of Steel movies that cement Superman as their Iron Man, as their golden torch for this whole universe kind of thing. Because Cavill's in it for the long run. He's more than willing to do it for years. He's stuck with the character for how long? You know what I mean? And you know what? Sure, okay. He's at that age where, sure, he's aged a little bit, but he hasn't aged, aged completely. You know what I mean? You can make a joke about Perry White's weight, you know what I mean? Because he has aged, you know what I mean? But no offense to Lawrence Fishburne. And you don't have to de-age with CGI with the other characters and stuff, because they haven't aged that badly, especially if you're filming these films back to back. I do stress you write 2 solid Superman films back to back, bang them out, okay? Or even better, Lord of the Rings it, do 3 films. When I say that, the 2 films are to have the trilogy to plant the foundations to the DCU. You can introduce at the end of the at the end of one of these movies, Bruce Wayne in his cave, kind of thing, mad at Superman to go, to hint at what's to come. You could have it that Wonder Woman happened, because that's phase 1. It could have happened before Man of Steel 2 and Man of Steel 3, and you could probably have her. Well, no, she wouldn't have met him until BVS or whatever. But you could probably do something with Aquaman and her, or something. You know what I mean? That doesn't distract from what's been established before. The Lex Luthor thing. This is what I would do. See, Jesse? No. You're Lex Luthor Jr., okay? You're Lex Luthor Jr., you're a rich little bitch, and Senior's going to come to town. We're going to recast. At the end of the trilogy, Senior's in jail, Junior's taken over, and we'll have a nod to Lionel Luthor, because I love Lionel Luthor. He was a badass, and, you don't even have to have him alive. Just have, they come from a generation of scientists and wealth and that kind of thing, and that gives Junior, he's just like the fuck up, basically, which leads into BPS kind of thing. And my Lex Luthor is Bryan Cranston. Done. You know what I mean? Get Bryan Cranston. People love Bryan Cranston. He's old enough, etc. And you know what?
I might actually be interested in the DCEU if that were the case.
I think we use this trilogy to keep cement stuff. Lois and Clark, they're not married yet, because they get married between Man of Steel and BVS. Am I correct?
They're not married. They're not married by the end of Justice League. No, he proposed and then he died and then came back. Right. But she's pregnant at the end of Justice League.
Right. So basically, what I would do, because it's Superman, Superman's lighthearted, always has been. The heart of those original films has been that relationship of Lois and Clark. Let's build on that. Let's go that angle. Have it be more lighthearted, because the darkness is yet to come with what happens in BVS. And if we can lay some foundation to make BVS a better movie, then do it. You know what I mean? But by all means, do it in the screenplay. I said 3 films back to back. That 3rd film is our first out of phase 2 post Zack Snyder's Justice League. Okay, where he's wearing the black Superman suit. So in my mind, I would put Shazam and Black Adam in phase 1 somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for him to have the blue suit. The blue suit and stuff, and if with those two movies, just make solid, good movies, man. And for that third movie, I would bring in Brainiac. I would bring in Brainiac, kind of thing. So that second movie, that's the no big threat.
Yeah.
But the third movie, because it's the end of a trilogy, the legacy of the character and his home world of Krypton, you bring in Brainiac, because I want Brainiac. I've wanted Brainiac for about 25 years of my life, and I still ain't got it, man. And I think all Superman fans want Brainiac. And the thing is with Brainiac, you should tease him in the second one. You can't, you know what I mean? You have to tease that you're building up to things for the third one.
Tim Burton tried. He was going to bring in Brainiac.
Yeah. But for the third movie, first phase of phase 2, you know who I'd introduce in phase 2 for that third movie, if you're doing them back to back? Supergirl. Straight off the bat, Supergirl landed before Clark. That's when we introduce her. We've done the trilogy. We bring her in. Maybe have her team up with Lex Luthor Jr. kind of thing. And then we just take it from there for her to have her own spin-off movie. And as you can see, I'm building the universe straight there with these films, using Superman as the anchor point to move forward. But the whole point is because Zack Snyder established where's to come with the Man of Steel, that dark future is ahead, for future Justice League films. The only thing that I really want them to scrap this Flash film. I want him to fuck up so bad that they just, because but I know they're probably not going with what the original plan was with that film now. Because they've more or less said that now. So it's going to have a similar but different ending, thank God. However, I would personally scrap that film completely, recast the Flash, do a Flash origin movie, just a straight-up Flash origin movie for people that don't watch the show, etc., and just make a great movie. And that would be my second phase 2 kind of thing. The other thing is, with Flashpoint, I would actually have that be my Justice League 2. Flashpoint would be my Justice League 2. Literally. That way you can flip the universe on its head with a different dimension. You've seen that animated version. Do that. Just do that. You know what I mean? That way everybody's playing their characters very differently. Henry Cavill as Superman's going to be a very little role, but it'll be cool to see him like that. It'll be cool to see someone play Bruce's dad and mother, incarnations and stuff. It'd be cool to see the war between the Atlanteans and that would be my Justice League 2 kind of thing, to flip the switch kind of thing. And that way, with Flash in phase 2, we're building up to have Flash to be more central to that phase, if that makes sense. We're not messing with timelines because we've just went, you see all this bullshit, we've just thrown it in a bin. I would have the Suicide Squad be a phase 2 movie kind of thing. And in terms of Batman, I would just have Ben Affleck's Batman just cameo in all of these movies. And when Robert Pattinson has done his thing, then we give us the Batman movie kind of thing of whatever Ben Affleck wants to do. Have Ben Affleck write and direct it. You know what I mean? Because he's a great director. And that's how it should have went down in the first place. But that's what I would do with the DCEU. Just build the foundations. And that dark future that Snyder teased to that's our end game.
Yeah.
That is our end game. And literally everything else, you know what? A part of me wants to hint at Doomsday in the trilogy of Superman movies before, the two before, because I felt Doomsday was a huge missed opportunity.
Massive.
Yeah. But I think we're just going to have to take the hit that was a bad movie for some and move it forward, because you're just picking at old wounds. But I don't know. What do you guys think of my Superman plan?
As a comic book guy, I can see it. As a casual audience, I think that would struggle to go back and fill in between movies now. So it makes sense from like if you're trying to build, like you say, that bigger picture to incorporate everything that's gone on, try and make more sense of it. But if we were to go back now, I think that would just completely throw people off. And then obviously if you're recasting the Flash and doing a origin story, how do you do an origin story of a character we've already seen in a couple of movies? So he has to pick up where the other Flash left off and just be recast, or like you say, have a flashpoint and him interchange with somebody and a new person comes into that role. I think I like the elements of what you did, but I just don't think from a casual audience fan they'll know how to accept that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our thoughts on Black Adam and potentially what might happen moving forward. So let's just get some final scores from everybody on the movie. If you want to do it out of 5 out of 10, whatever your scoring system is. Amrita, what did you give this film?
So, okay, for me, I would have given it, like Sacha, 3 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
My 3 out of 5 was nothing to do with the credit scene because I don't really care for Cavill as Superman. I know it's controversial. Okay. I know. I just don't care for anything since Man of Steel onwards in the DCEU.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a fan of him in the role. I think he's pretty wooden, dare I say it.
Mm-hmm.
He looks the part, I will say that. He looks the best that we've seen, kind of as, other than Reeves back in the day. I think he looks fantastic in the role, but I just don't buy him in it, and I just don't care. DCEU is not pulling me in any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was an enjoyable film.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely was, and I'd be remiss if I said it wasn't. I know Alex rated it 7 out of 10 as well, so he wasn't blown away either.
Mm-hmm.
But he did like the credit scene, and he said that we all knew it was coming. Come on, everyone knew. The Rock told us as much. But I think in Alex's words, he said he's very excited that it shows kind of where things might go from this point onwards.
Yeah.
Not so much that Henry Cavill was back in the suit, but more so that there's now so much more scope as to the longevity of Superman in all of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's excitement, but overall it was pretty box standard film.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Neil, what about you?
I gave it a 7 because I ranked everything at 10.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the worst film. It was by no means the best film.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was any other person playing the role, it probably would have been a 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Sacha, yourself?
What's this out of 10?
Or 5. You can do your own thing.
I'll do 5, 3.
3 out of 5, yeah. Like you said, could have been a 2, 2.5, but yeah.
It's going to be quite low, and then people will be like, "What? Oh my god, you fucking hate it." I'm like, do I have to explain myself? I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't take it seriously. I was just like, cool, popcorn flick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, so out of 10, I gave it a 7. So for me, when I'm looking at it, a bang average film should be 5 out of 10, right? It sounds low, but that's in the middle between 1 and 10, right? So that should be bang average. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, so slightly better than average for me. So, maybe around a 6, because like I say, it's The Rock, and, maybe I got a soft spot for him a little bit. It's like, okay, a 6.5. And then the end credit scene, it's like, okay, you gave me that. You did what a lot of other people haven't been able to do at Warner's and make them listen and do something which maybe will please the fans. So you know what? I'll give you that extra half a point for that. So yeah, for me, it was a 7 out of 10 as well. Cool. So what is next for the DCEU? Is it Aquaman? Is that next?
Yes, in January.
All right. Okay. So I suppose we've got Aquaman 2. Who knows if Amber Heard's in it or not, if they're doing reshoots or whatnot. I'm expecting her to see it in it.
Listen, right?
Time will tell.
Warner, if you're listening, Warner, I'll tell you what you need to do. Warner Brothers, your main office is located in Hollywood. It's located in California. Go to the Los Angeles Lakers, pick a random cheerleader who's got blonde hair, say, "Can you dye this red?" Yes, come with me. Put her in the outfit, give her all the dialogue, boom, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking you were going to like just go, yo Zaslav, give me a job.
No, right? Because you know what? When I want the job, we getting rid of everything we've seen so far. We starting new. They still need to make money on what they have. So I'm like, look, just Lakers, put her in. Can you read this? Yep. Boom. Say the line. Done.
All right.
Or if failing that, bro, listen, apps, right? What's the thing called? FaceTime? Not FaceTime. Face app or face swap, something.
Yeah, just deep fake that shit.
Bro, deep fake. Thank you. That's it. We have the technology. We can rebuild her.
She does not need to be in it at all. Fans do not want her in it.
Yeah, I think it'd be a big mistake if they didn't do it, considering all the reshoots they're doing for everything else. I mean, if you're going to take the time to do reshoots to throw Ben Affleck into your movie, then just do the reshoots for that. But contracts are contracts, so who knows what they can and can't do.
Look, they can get rid of her and still pay her. It's all right. They can make your money back.
Yeah, but also we've got...
have a lot of reshooting stuff to do. Though.
Yeah. So obviously we've got Shazam! Fury of the Gods coming up. So that should be quite fun. There's a part in this which really annoys me. So he's sitting at the table opposite Helen Mirren and he makes the joke reference of, I've seen all the Fast and Furious movies. It's all about family. She was in Fast and Furious. What the fuck is going on? It's like, what? Is it supposed to be a tongue-in-cheek joke? I mean, it's like play so serious. I'm like, what the fuck? So it's obviously a different timeline. But anyway, so that really annoys me. But yeah, so obviously we got Shazam. So a lot of the humor kind of didn't quite hit for me in the trailers. Hopefully that's just that. But, we'll wait and see what happens. Obviously we've got The Flash and who knows what's going to happen with that. Got Blue Beetle. So that is still going ahead. That's going to be a cinema release. Apparently it's going to be like one of the longest movies, like 2:40. So it's quite a big thing. Obviously we've got Aquaman, and then we've also got, not part of the DCEU, but obviously we've got Joker 2, which apparently is going to be like a musical, but we'll wait and see. Okay, so thanks very much for listening, guys. Hey, let us know your thoughts on the movie. Let us know your ratings for the film. Was it better than you expected? Was it, worse than expected? I feel a lot of people really trash the movie, but at the same time, a lot of people, I think, it's kind of still where we are. It's kind of above average. I don't want to say it's amazing, but, let us know what your thoughts are. What do you think is going to be next for Superman in the DCU? Where does Superman and Black Adam going to fight? Is it going to be a 1, 2, 3 movies? Is it going to be a trilogy? Make sure you like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. Give me a full-time job. That'd be really, really great. Get those subscribers up. But Neil, Amrita and Sacha, have you got anything that you want to pimp out today?
Not yet.
I just use my Instagram, really. That's it. So, at
Cool.
Quirky Turquoise, you can find me on there.
On the bottom.
Yeah, there we go. That's it, really.
Cool. Right. That's it. Thanks very much for listening, guys. And until next time, peace out.
Peace.